Should you be taking omega-3 supplements? Well, my answer may surprise you. My answer, well, I'm going to share with you in a minute. Before you spend another penny on omega-3 capsules, just give me a few minutes, because the question of whether you should actually take them has a far clearer answer than the supplement industry would ever want you to know. Well, if you've watched a few of my videos, then you'll know I'm going to say no. For a healthy person, the answer is obviously no. Now, that might sound strange coming from somebody who's always banging on about the benefits of oily fish, but there is a world of difference between eating a piece of mackerel or, sardines and swallowing a capsule pressed from fish oil. And once you understand exactly why, you'll probably want your money back. So what I'm going to do in this video is walk you through what the actual research trials show, the one specific situation where high-dose omega-3 does, I guess, have a bit of a medical role, and why the fish sitting on your plate beats the pill, beats the supplement sitting in your cupboard every single time. And if you just want the quick version and you don't want to watch, the next 10 minutes or so, then here it is. The supplement is selling you a shortcut, and the shortcut is never, ever as healthy as the real thing. I get offered tens of thousands of pounds every single month. I promise you that is true. I get emails every single day asking me to promote supplements. I could make an absolute fortune from doing that. I put a link in every single video and spend every video talking about the next supplement. And, every sort of supplement you can imagine, collagen, omega-3 capsules. I made all of these different things, green powders, all these things that people asked me to promote all the time. If I thought they worked, I would sell them to you and I would be filthy rich. But I don't. I turn all of that money down because you deserve to know what really works. My name's Dr. Alex. I'm here to cut through all of this noise to help you live longer and stay healthier along the way. Remember that modern life is built, let's be honest, to make you sick very slowly over decades, and modern medicine is designed this way to meet you once you're already there, once you're already sick, once something serious has already happened. Ill, but not dead. That is the business model of modern life, of modern medicine. Nobody in that entire chain gets paid for preventing anything, and so that is why I started this channel to help you prevent disease in the first place. So let me start with the real question at the top of all of this. Do omega-3 capsules actually prevent heart disease in ordinary healthy people? Because we've got very good answers to that very specific question now, since it's been tested properly in large randomized controlled trials over many years. And these randomized controlled trials, RCTs, are the gold standard of medical evidence precisely because they can separate the effect of the pill from everything else going on in somebody's life. Two of the biggest studies here, one following around 25,000 people and another one following roughly 15,000 people with diabetes, it gave the standard sort of dose that you'll find in oily fish capsules in any supermarket or supplement shop. Now, it's worth being really, really clear here about what these trials were actually comparing. So they weren't testing the capsule against eating fish. They were testing the capsule against a dummy pill, a placebo, so we could see what the fish oil itself adds on top of everything else in somebody's life. And on the outcomes that actually matter, like the heart attacks and the strokes and the deaths, the premature early deaths, the capsule, the supplement came out flat. It didn't meaningfully bring down, those serious events compared with the placebo, with the dummy pills. So this fish oil supplement at the dose you can actually buy did not reduce major cardiac events in the way that the labels would want you to believe. If you look at any fish oil supplement, somewhere it will say supports heart health. Well, that sort of makes you believe that it's going to reduce your risk of a heart attack or heart disease or something like that. Well, these big studies prove that that is not the case. For me, that closes the case on everyday fish oil capsules as a prevention tool for the general healthy population. If these large, rigorous trials show nothing, then a shiny label on the bottle, promising you a healthy heart, isn't something worth hanging your money on. Just save your money and spend it on a really good gym membership instead. So that leads me on to another interesting question. Is there any form of omega-3 that actually does anything for your body that actually does work? Well, there is, but it's a very specific one, and it is emphatically not what is sitting on the supplement shelf in the supermarket. So Omega-3 comes in two main types called EPA and DHA. Now, there is a high-dose, purified prescription-only form of just the EPA. And in a trial called Reduce It, and I'll put a link down below for you if you want to check this trial out, using 4g of it a day in high-risk patients who were already on a statin and who already had raised triglycerides, they reported a reduction in major cardiovascular events of around a quarter, 25%. It sounds impressive, doesn't it? 25% reduction. And it caused a lot of excitement when this study landed, but the picture got quite complicated very quickly. So let me try and lay down the other trials clearly, because this is where people got a bit lost. A second trial called Strength, and again, link down below for you if you want to take a read of this. This trial tested a high dose of combined EPA and DHA together in around 13,000 people. And it was actually stopped early because it was heading nowhere and it was showing no benefit at all. And other trials of combined EPA and DHA, they've landed in same very neutral place. So on one side, we've got a single strongly positive trial using pure EPA. And on the other side, we've got trials using EPA and DHA, together that showed absolutely nothing. On top of that, and this is the bit that's really important, the placebo used in that first trial, in the Reduce It trial, was actually mineral oil. And some researchers think that mineral oil may have actually slightly harmed the comparison group, which would make the drug look better by contrast than it truly was, if that makes sense, and inflate the apparent benefit. So should we just ignore that 25%? Well, probably not. And I don't think we should throw it out entirely, but I don't think we can take it at face value either. This is why research is actually quite complicated. It is fair to say that the high-dose story is still pretty unresolved and argued over by cardiologists to this day, because the research isn't clear-cut on this particular point. The key point for me, though, and for you at home, is this. Even at its most promising, this sits fairly in the prescription-only territory. You cannot buy this over the counter. You cannot buy high-dose EPA or DHA yourself from your supplement shop. And here's another thing that the adverts will never, ever, ever tell you about. So those same omega-3 trials also turned up a consistent downside. So when researchers pull together, lots and lots of different studies, tens of thousands of people in total, they found that the supplements raise the risk of a heart rhythm problem called AF, atrial fibrillation, which I'm sure many of you have heard of. And the effect was actually dose dependent, which means the higher the dose, the bigger the risk. And across that data, the increase came out at roughly a quarter, so around 25%, in relative risk again. And it showed up most cleanly in the higher dose trials that I just mentioned. Now, obviously in absolute terms, because this is what you guys are interested in, absolute risk versus relative risk, that snorts is still a very small number of extra cases. So I'm not trying to frighten you here by saying 25% of extra people got, AF and then died. That's not what I'm saying here. But it is a real signal and it points the wrong way. Atrial fibrillation is where the top chambers of your heart, the two atria on top of the ventricles, they stop beating in a coordinated way and start to quiver chaotically in a really random rhythm instead. And obviously this is really, really important because atrial fibrillation is not harmless. It's common, but that doesn't mean it's not dangerous. It raises your risk of stroke quite a lot, to be honest, and it needs managing with medication. So that finding with AF changes the entire calculation, doesn't it? Because when the potential benefit for the average person sits somewhere between marginal and nothing, even just a small added risk of a real heart problem tips the scales firmly towards not bothering at all. You don't willingly take on a real downside in exchange for a benefit that the best trials couldn't even find. I really hope that makes sense. So, if this fish oil capsule, if this supplement is a dead end for the average person, then why on earth do I still talk about eating oily fish twice a week? Well, as I said in the introduction, it's because the fish and the pill are not remotely the same thing. They are completely different. And this is, the absolute heart of this argument. The observational evidence, the large population studies, consistently links people who eat more oily fish with lower rates of heart disease and lower overall death rates. And a couple of portions of oily fish a week, like your mackerel and your sardines and your salmon or your herring, if you eat that, that comfortably clears the general omega-3 target that these health bodies recommend, while also delivering a whole package that a capsules simply can't. And this part is really important. When you eat the fish, you also get vitamin, which so many of us are short of. You get complete high-quality protein, you get selenium, you get iodine, you get vitamin B12. A capsule isolates just one single molecule and hopes that it does the whole job on its own, whereas the fish hands you the entire orchestra playing together. And the evidence for the orchestra is far stronger than the evidence for that one compound on its own. Bit of a bad example, but you get the point that I'm saying. And you also get calcium as well, because these small fish often contain the bones, and you eat the bones without really knowing about it. And that is just a load of goodness getting inside you, again, from those bones. This is the bit that I really, really want you to take away from this video. When we're told to eat 2 portions of oily fish a week, we are led to believe that it is just about the fish oil and that swallowing a capsule gives you the exact same thing that the fish would. But the whole point is that the whole food gives you so much more. This is a point that I've made so many times in this video, and it does so many more jobs than one tiny ingredient ever could on its own. The reason they talk about fish oil in the first place and try and get it into a supplement is that, let's be honest, it's the easiest part to bottle and to sell to you. Nobody stands there and tells you to eat a fish oil pill and a protein pill and a selenium pill and a calcium pill and an iodine pill and a B12 pill as well, and everything else that this fish has to offer you. That would sound obviously pretty absurd, but it is far closer to the truth than the single capsule is. It is just clever marketing working very hard to persuade you that the pill and the whole food are exactly the same thing, and they just aren't. My own view on all of this, on the whole supplement industry, is that taking a supplement, it gives you permission, it gives you a reason to slip and to not focus on the things that really matter. It paints a very comfortable feeling in your head that you've ticked the health box for that day, which makes it very easy to carry on with the things that are actually harming you, and just trust that the capsule or your supplement, whatever you take, just cancels all of that out. And it doesn't work like that. Obviously, it goes without saying that that isn't really what makes you healthy. I will never, ever meet a 90 or 100-year-old and ask them, what's your secret? And they will never tell me, well, it was taking all of these supplements from my 30s onwards. It will be the things that work consistently across the research, which is what you eat, how you move, what your mood is like, your stress levels, your social connection, and your sleep. All of that stuff put together. And there's also a double effect with the fish that's worth spelling out as well, because if you're not eating fish, then whatever fills that gap on your plate, sometimes, well, very often, let's be honest, is ultra-processed food. So skipping the fish can harm you twice over. Once through the good thing that you've missed, and another time through the harmful thing that replaces it. Eating the fish does the opposite. It crowds out the junk. It nudges your whole diet in a better direction, and it tends to pull other good habits along with it. And just think about it in practical terms for a second. If you commit to just 2 lunches a week built around mackerel or sardines, then that meal's probably going to sit alongside other decent food rather than something pulled out of a packet. So that's 2 lunches a week where you're not grabbing a processed sandwich or a meal deal or anything on the go. And that is something that no capsule will ever do for you. So, for the average person, my honest opinion is to not bother with an omega-3 oily fish supplement. Just don't bother, just save your money and try and eat oily fish a couple of times a week instead. It is one of the most healthy foods that you can possibly eat. And if you want to live a very long and healthy life, then this is something super easy that will be really beneficial to you. But if you really can't eat fish, you just don't like it, you cannot stomach it, and you're never going to touch it, as long as I keep banging on about it, then a standard supplement isn't going to do you any harm. So by all means, if that is you, then take one. It's not going to do you any harm. If you're desperate to take it, then, I don't think it's going to do anything over the long term, but there's going to be no harm. If you're somebody who absolutely swears by taking it, if it makes you feel better, then fine. But you know what my honest opinion is. But to be honest, I'd rather you put your effort into other things. Just if you forget about supplements, you forget about any shortcuts that you can buy, then you'll put your effort into other things that actually work, like, learning how to cook properly, putting other whole foods onto your plate, and the bigger lifestyle factors like the movement, the sleep, the strength work, because that is where the real return is. So after all of that rambling, I really hope that it was useful. and you got some value from this video today. And if you're somebody who's been taking an omega-3 supplement and you think, right, based on what I've just said, I'm going to start eating oily fish twice a week instead, then spend that money on something that is actually going to work for you. So why don't you buy yourself a pair of running shoes, or a kettlebell like I've got behind me, or a gym membership, something that will really help you. And, one of the things that I talk about all the time. Anyway, I really hope that's cleared up some confusion for you. Please give this video a like and a hype if you found it useful. Share it with somebody that you think could benefit. Leave me a comment below to let me know what you want me to focus on in the future, and I will see you in my next video.